need your vote. As you all know, this week the Democrats held their convention. You probably saw at their party. The media says the big message from their convention was that we need to turn the page from the failures of the last 4 years. You believe? They forgot. They've run it for the last 4 years. She was saying last night, we will stop the abuse. We will stop the high taxes. I said that you could have done it 3.5 years ago. In fact, you could leave that nice auditorium that you're in and you can go to the White House right now. Stormwater. All you have to do is say to the incredible Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement, close the border now. You don't need bills. I did it. And we have the best border in history. Oh, hi, everybody. Well, I'm listening to the RFK and Trump. Can you hear me? I want to make sure everything's set up. It's going to be a big night tonight. It's Savage Paella night. Savage de la Casa, Paella de la Savage Casa. So I want to hear you. Can you hear me now? I'm listening to Trump. You can probably hear me. Yes? No? Paella. Are we coming through? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. Sound is good because I'm using a lavalier and a receiver on the phone so I can walk around. Now I know you don't like the orientation of the camera. It won't work well the other way. It just doesn't have enough angle to get down onto the food. As it is, it's going to be a little hard. But look, something's better than nothing. It's going to be a very long process tonight. Paella takes me hours. I don't know how Trump does this. I don't know how he does it. 78 years old. He doesn't stop every day another campaign rally. I never saw anything like it. Can you hear him? I don't know if it's. I don't think that's coming through the microphone. This is a directional. Yes. Savage Paella. Yes. I just heard Bobby Jr. I know he's really great. Well, he and Kennedy and I agree on the health thing 100% and stopping the war. The other's a party of war and hatred and poison. Poison the food, poison the water, poison the air, and create World War III. But she's a woman. She's a minority. She's against Trump. That's good enough for most of the idiots. Women vote with their wombs. I'm sorry. That's it. Especially women under 30. That's all they think about is what's not here, not from the neck up or from the neck down. They vote from the neck down. That's all. They've been trained, conditioned, programmed, drugged. I've not had a drink yet. So RFK Jr. was pulling, as I said earlier on YouTube, 3 to 5%. And how many of them come over to Trump or vote for him at all? 1 to 2% is my guess. That 1 to 2% could be the bump he needs in certain areas. Don't expect this to be a 30% increase. It won't. Again? Okay, I think I'm not going to listen to the rally. I got so much to do to cook. Maybe I should turn it off now, turn it back on later. I don't know. I got my pots. I got my beautiful French cookware. I already burnt my finger. I had to clean it with. I've had it. Some of this stuff I've used, some I haven't. The beauty of these particular pots is they transmit heat much better. They're made beautifully, and they don't have any of the PFPs and all of that crap in it. In fact, I bought them years ago. They're really wonderful, wonderful cookware. See, for you purists, I've been writing books on health for a long enough time to know enough about frying pans. PTFE, non-stick durable marble coating PTFE. Good. That's why I bought this stuff. It's good stuff. Very expensive. And so the paella, I'm going to make the broth probably in here. And then I'm going to pour the broth into here after I get the seafood going. Make the rice, put it all together, and then cook it. It's actually a peasant dish. People think there's some mystique about paella. I've been making it for 40 years. And my original recipe was from the New York Times cookbook, which I kept modifying over the years, as I still modify my foods. So I'm going to use unsalted chicken bone broth for my broth. The bone broth is the big thing today. And it's good stuff. It's got incredible nutritional quality to it, bone broth. Unsalted because I'm on a low sodium diet. You know, I've been on a low sodium diet for 40 years.
I raised my children without salt. I wrote a children's book, Healing Children Naturally, in which I said throw away the salt shaker. Because if you cook good foods, natural foods, you don't need to add salt for flavor. I've tried to tell people that. Of course, we need a little salt. I know that as well. But sodium is inherently in most of our foods. We need about 1 gram of sodium a day. That's 1,000 milligrams, and we're getting 8 to 10,000 milligrams a day, which is why we have chronic hypertension, heart disease, etc. The only problem for this marriage here between RFK Jr. and Trump, one main problem, RFK Jr. is a food purist, organic foods, natural vegetables, etc., which is all good. Trump eats hamburgers and French fries and drinks Diet Coke. That's not going to work. Okay, I'm just pointing it out. I may as well be the first to say it. As I said to you, when I was in Air Force One with the great President Trump, and he was having 2 hot dogs, and he offered me one, I took 1 hot dog because there was nothing else offered. But I'm starving. He saw it in my eyes. He's a great guy. Should I turn it off and go back to cooking? I think I'm going to turn off the campaign. You can watch it yourself. And I will turn this off. This is just a prelude. I'll show you the food. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll turn on the lights and I'll show you the food that I'm going to make. Then I'll prepare it. It's going to take me a good hour to get everything ready to cook. And then I'll come back when the cooking begins to show you how it all comes together. But I wanted to cook today because you won't believe this. Look at this. This is the seafood I bought in, some chicken thighs. Oh, God. So good. But I have to clean it all. You don't just throw it in the pot, right? I'm not a barbarian. I'm not a Democrat. I clean my seafood first. I got something very special for the dish that I like to put on the rice at the end. I love pimentos. They look beautiful. I just picked some fresh organic oregano from my own garden. Can you see it? I love oregano. Ever since I've been a child, I love it. Very, very powerful stuff. I swore off booze the other night, but that's been 2 nights. I'm going back on the booze. I'm going to have some wine. Last night I said no more wine. I got a headache from too much white wine because it was too much sugar, even though it's a dry white wine. You know, sometimes my body doesn't want anything. I didn't listen to my body diet. So tonight I'm going back to my pure Sauvignon Blanc. You'll hear me later on that. And I'll show you the rice I have. I got some nice organic California white jasmine. You know, we have one of the best rice growing places on earth is in Northern California. And you know who raises the rice? Sikhs. They went into growing rice. The Indian people came here and they started rice fields up in Northern California. Now compare the hardworking Indian folks to the wonderful people we're getting now from the dregs of the earth, from the third world. We're getting the dregs of the third world who do nothing. They live in $400 a night hotel rooms and ride around on motor scooters and beat up cops. That's what we're welcoming in on the Biden-Harris. But the Indians created this great rice growing district. Show you something else. I know you could. The beauty of this lavalier is I can talk while I walk around. So I got the new pots out of the cabinet, and I wasn't watching, and I burnt my finger. I immediately ran and got my aloe out of my garden. Something you should know about kitchen burns. They can be very treacherous and painful, as you know. No chemicals for Mike. Here it is, Nature's Healer. Something you should know about aloe. Aloe vera has been used for burns since Cleopatra's time. It contains powerful antibiotic properties, antiseptic properties, and, by the way, pain-killing properties, all in nature's little salve. Now, I'll tell you something else about aloe. I can't listen to him and do this. First of all, I heard too much of them. If I see one more speech by Donald Trump, I think I'm going to bash my head through a window. I'm going to actually turn it off. I'm sorry. Maybe it's sacrilege. I don't want to hear. No more. I've had enough. Every night is another rally. I know he's fighting for us, but thanks, Donald. Have a nice night. That's all. It's enough. It's Friday night already. I can't take it anymore. Every minute, another Trump rally. It was a pleasure to hear RFK Jr. with a froggy voice. At least he said something new. The same every night, the same thing. Give us a friggin' break one weekend. It's almost friggin' Labor Day. Oh, where does he get the stamina? Must be the hamburgers and French fries and Diet Coke. So the aloe vera is so powerful in healing burns that it has been used for radiation burns, believe it or not. That's how strong it is. I mean, I friggin' burned my finger. It hurt like hell. It was like one of these pots. I took it off and didn't know it was on. I gave it a nice little singe job. This finger would have been already hospitalization job. Ran in the garden, cut it. I made a prayer over the aloe, like the Native Americans did when they got their medicinal plants. I thank God for the plant. I talked to the plant. I cut the plant and I put it on. Absolutely no pain, no swelling, no bruising. Amazing. Listen, if I was a Ganef and wanted to make money and sell things, I could make a vitamin formula that would be good for you, Dr. Savage's longevity formula, and be one of the shysters saying, I'm 82 years old and I'm as sharp as a tack and I owe it all to this pill. I could make an aloe vera cream. I don't want to do it. Go and do it yourself. So what I'm going to do now is get my seafood ready. What's in here? Which one is this? Sea scallops. Okay. How much did this cost me? Oh, Maron. $15 for these. Look, it's. I worked for it. Fresh, wild caught red rockfish. A $5 bill for that. Let's see what this one is. Fresh Gulf prawns. I like the Gulf prawns, not sewer shrimp from Asia. $5. At least I know what I'm getting. What's this one? Organic chicken drumsticks. Rosie organic chicken drumsticks. I'm going to put in one drumstick cut up into the cooking because it adds a flavor to it. And then I'm cheating tonight. I'm going back to stuff I don't eat anymore. I got some beautiful sausages, but not pork sausage. I'm nothing against eating pork. I just don't eat it. First of all, I like pigs. They're very smart, and I feel bad for them. I'm eating an artichoke and garlic, all-natural smoked chicken sausage. No antibiotics, no artificial ingredients. And I'm going to throw one of these in. You throw in your sausage, and then I'm going to throw in my potatoes. No, I could thicken it out. The Spanish don't do it, but a small potato cut up in there would be great because it'll add some potato starch if you like a thicker broth. I don't need to do that. There's so many things about cooking that's magnificent. It's a chemistry lab for me. That's why I'm never tired cooking. What are these? Organic cocktail tomatoes. Gorgeous. I'm a tomato lover. It's very hard to get tomatoes that have any taste at all, organic or not. They have no taste anymore. You got to grow your own. But I stopped growing them in my garden because I grow them every year. I plant them in March, and I have them all summer. But what happened was I was getting the skunks coming in. I mean, they're stupid, they're not. And they would eat, and then you get a spritz. I didn't want it anymore. So the skunks don't come anymore because they were attracted to the tomatoes. So this is the preparation. This is a splurge once in a while. I bought some saffron threads, the most expensive part of the dish, and the most important, by the way. But you have to know how to use saffron. You don't just throw it into the cooking. You have to throw it into boiling broth or boiling water, and then add the boiling broth and water to the entire dish. Otherwise, it's a waste of the saffron threads. It's magnificent stuff, highly medicinal, very expensive, and I'll be using the saffron tonight as well. So that is the prelude. That's the overture to the Savage, Paella de la Savage. Paella de la Savage. So I'm going to do that. I have two questions for you. Which apron should I wear? The one you're used to, the blue with the blue, or the may switch apron? I like things. Everything's got to have color. Orange is good. It's a little too bright though for this. I have one other option on my aprons tonight. This I've not used. It's a virgin apron. If this is too faggy for you, go shoot somebody. What do you want from me? Okay, don't bother me. Everything's to this, to that for people. Here's a nice one. The problem with gray Gray is nice, but it's easily stained. Why do you think the French use these? Because it doesn't show the stains very readily. I'm going to go for the basic French stripe apron. It's nice on air, easy to use, easy to wash, and that's the story. I changed the hat too. I don't want to wear that. Oh, now you can't hear me because the mic's buried. Wonderful. Great. So I'll have to put the mic on the apron. Okay, so that's the prelude or the overture to the Paella Savage, or it could be Paella de la Casa Savage, or Savage Paella. The algorithm's interesting. If I call it Savage Paella, I won't get as many interested people as if I say Paella de la Savage, because it's the first word that draws people in. And since I'm shadow blocked by Musk, and not even him, he doesn't know I exist, by the Musk people. Many of the third worlders that used to work for Twitter are still there. So the third worlders who run Twitter still have me in the block category. That's why I don't have as big a following as I should, because I'm an all-around genius, a Renaissance man, an all-around nice guy, very good looking, and I dress better than anybody in the media. But it's good enough. I don't care if it's 20,000, 15,000. What's the difference? It doesn't put 10 cents in my pocket. So what am I doing it for? Two reasons. One, I enjoy performance. Two, I have a lot to say and a lot to transmit to different generations, yourself included, no matter your age. And so let's say you're one of the 15 to 20,000 to watch this. Fine. So I'm giving it to you for free. That's what I want to do it for. I'm fundamentally still a teacher and a social worker. That's all. End of story. So either I'm going to wear this hat to cook. I actually have a chef's hat, but it's a little too affected for it. I don't know. I have another hat I could wear here. Yeah, this hat everyone likes. The reverse Kangol hat was my most popular. For some reason, people like the reverse Kangol. So you see the angle of the camera, it's too far away. It's cutting my head off if I bring in this close. I could lower it, then you can't see the food. It's a pain in the ass, the whole thing. I may not even come back and cook now that I've shown you everything. I think I've had the fun I want to have. Secondly, I'm going to start to drink, and if I start to drink, I'll start cursing Harris, then I'll start cursing Democrats. I don't want to do that. So what am I going to have tonight? Savage paella with all the seafood and a little sausage and a little chicken in it. I'm going to have organic white rice as the base. Most important part is the rice, as you well know. It's always the grain. And instead of water, I'm going to use, as I said to you before, organic bone broth, which will give it a nicer flavor and it's much more healthful. Lots of onion and some nice fresh tomatoes. I'll show you some other tomatoes I bought tonight. Instead of those, these are beautiful. These are the Roma Italian tomatoes. They're very beautiful. The Roma tomatoes generally have more flavor than the others. So let's see how they work out for me tonight. Let me tell you something about me and cooking. To me, it's an art form and a pleasure, a chemistry lab. By the time I am done cooking, I won't even want to eat it. Because between me tasting it and drinking the wine and eating bread along the way, what do I need to eat for? I'll taste it, I'll eat it, and then I'll put it away. It won't be as good. You know, the thing about paella, it is as good the next day if you heat it up right. Not in the microwave. Never reheat paella in the microwave. You reheat it in the frying pan like a real like a real cook. The microwave has a place, but let me tell you one last thing about microwave cooking. Microwave kills water-soluble vitamins. That's the first thing you got to know. All water-soluble vitamins are destroyed by a microwave. So for convenience, yes, to make it hot, and if you're hungry, fine. But you're denuding it of all of the water-soluble vitamins, particularly vitamin C and the others, the B vitamins. They're all water-soluble. The microwave zaps them and kills them. So you want to use it intermittently and sparingly when need be, when you're starving or whatever. And that's all I have to say right now. I'll show you something I'm happy to show you that's beautiful. So I bought this frying pan in a store about a year ago. I love it. It's my little morning pan, right? Again, it doesn't have the toxic stuff that comes out of the Teflon coating. These are all modern, latest iteration of technology where these coatings do not emit the toxic chemicals that the old Teflon pans did. as I said, but I did not have a cover for it. This is the moral of the story. So for about a year, I've been cooking without that cover. I used some other cover, it never fit right. So I said, I got to get a cover that fits an 8-inch cover. No cooking store had an 8-inch cover. I went to the genius of online. I got it the next morning. I don't know how they do it. Amazon, the guy should run the world. Bezos, if he had better politics, should be the master of the universe. By the time I order something at night, it's there in the morning. It's like, I don't know. It figures out what I want. It's there. No, I ordered it at night. It's in my driveway in the morning. I don't understand it with trucks that are air conditioned and nice people. Hello, sir. How are you? Enjoy the pan. I hope you enjoy it. Before I even order it, it's already here on the way. I don't know how he created such a system. A genius. I'm glad he makes billions of dollars. The man is a knockout genius that he could figure this out. And he started by selling books out of his garage. Bezos, amazing, truly amazing. All of my books are on Amazon. I shouldn't say anything because he's a commie. I don't know. What are you? How could they be? Well, the rich are. Many of the rich are communists because they want us to be. But I don't know. The wife is a leftist. Who knows what they are? They have a 700-foot yacht. And they should buy a used aircraft carrier, I think, from the French government because they only go in circles anyway. Bezos should buy a used French aircraft carrier and make it his personal yacht. He'd be happier. Okay, my friends, I'm going to wash my seafood. And by the time I come back, I'll probably have drank too much, so I won't even go back on. It's been fun to talk with you about. I'll show you the recipes, then I'm going to go. I said I wouldn't. I'll show you. Very beautiful. It's very interesting to me. Well, see, I can't stop conversing with my audience. What I love about my audience is how you love me. I'm not talking to myself. I'm having dinner with 20,000 people tonight. So I'm going to show you something. This is my original recipe book with my notes over the years from the New York Times book. I have so many recipes, so many happy memories from here, and all the modifications that I made over the years. I would eliminate certain things I don't eat. I'd add other things for flavor. Like it says, 1.5 pound of lobster. I don't eat lobster because I don't want to kill lobsters. I don't eat crab. It's a bottom feeder that sucks. 1 small cut up tomato, 2 cups of water per cup of dry rice, 3.5 cups of stock, the 1 3/4 rice. I perfected it. 3 ounces of rice per person. Boil the mushrooms, tomatoes, arborio, paprika, garlic I add. So this is the recipe out of the New York Times book. It's so well worn. You think someone in the family is going to want this and cry over me when I'm dead? I don't think so. It'll wind up in a junk heap somewhere, sold in a used bookstore, or thrown in a garbage can, like all of us. We are all dispensable, my friends. No matter who you think you are, you're thrown in a garbage can, especially today. You could say it's sad. It is. But some of us have worked very hard to not be irrelevant, even after we are gone in this life form. And that is why I've written almost 30 books. I want to be remembered because I'm such a wonderful person. And I really think life is so precious that I wanted to make the most of it, while I was doing it. Look at this stuffed pepper recipe, which I don't use anymore because I don't eat much meat. My God, it's good. Meat stuffed green peppers, forget about it. I used to love it on a winter day. Made it for the kids. The kids won't remember the book. I'm going to give it to one of them, leave it on my will. Who's going to want an old cookbook? But I'll tell you what this reminds me of now. I reached that point. It's like I'm getting maudlin about myself. So this cookbook that I've used for 40 years sits on a shelf. I rarely use it, but I was going to make the paella tonight. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me, or is the book in the way? I don't even know anymore with this lavalier mic. Okay, so do you remember the Sopranos scene with Artie? Those of you who are Sopranos fans, which I still think is the greatest show ever made in the history of television, maybe number one. There's not an episode of the Sopranos that is not perfect. If you rewatch it, which I've done numerous times, it's like going back to an old book and rereading it. So every scene was so masterfully done that you could watch it again with wonderment. The scene where Artie gets into a fight with the one of the younger gang members in Tony's crew, who was coming on to the girl from not Serbia, I don't know where it was. Her name was Martina, and she was from one of the Baltic countries. Very beautiful girl. So this mafia guy keeps coming in Artie's restaurant. He's drinking at the bar and coming on to the matriarch, almost to her stewardess. the hostess, and she's pretty. Her name is Martina, and I don't know what country she's from. I remember it in a few minutes. So they find Artie finds out later on that they were ripping him off, stealing his credit card numbers. And Artie, remember the character Artie, the cook, owned the Italian restaurant. So he blah blah blah. First, the guy steals the girl away who Artie wanted to be with. She didn't want anything to do with him anyway. He was not that handsome. The mafia guy was better looking, and I was throwing more money at her, So she's hanging out with the other guy, and Artie fires her. But then he finds out later on that when he loses his American Express, that somebody was stealing his credit card numbers, and it was those two, the mafia kid or guy and her, Martina. All right. So Artie goes to the guy's house, and he's so steamed up, even though he plays sort of a Rigoletto clown, Artie, he's still a tough kid from New Jersey in the characterization, and he can fight. And he goes to the guy's house at night, and he rings the bell, and the guy says, "What do you want, Artie? It's late. My wife's inside." She says, "Wait a minute." Blah, blah, blah. They get into a fight, and Artie beats the shit out of him, bangs him up, breaks his face, and you see Artie can really, give as well as he can get. He's not such a Rigoletto clown. He's not a putz. And he drills him on bang, 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 and wrecks his face. So I'm getting to something. So the guy wants to kill Artie, and he goes to Tony, and Tony says, "Don't touch him. First of all, he's an old friend of mine. Number two, you're not touching him. We're making the peace." So they makes the peace between him and the kid who he beat up. And then he makes the kid go to Artie's restaurant again to top it off. Tony does, with his father-in-law and his wife and his mother and his mother-in-law and the kids for a celebration of his father's birthday. To make the peace, he has to eat in Artie's restaurant. So Artie, now it's peace now, because Artie could have been killed if Tony didn't make the peace. Look how the geniuses that they write like this. So they come in for dinner, and the gangster is sitting there with his wife and the mother-in-law and the father and the kids, quietly sitting, nicely dressed. And Artie's coming around, and Artie has to be a prick now. He has to steam him up. Do you remember the scene? Artie comes up to him, and he asks, "Would you like any drinks?" And he says the gangster says to Artie, "Why don't you try a Martina?" And his headline, because the girl's name was Martina. And he says in front of the whole family, he says, "Try a Martina. It's like a martini, but it goes down more smooth, more quickly." What a line. Who the hell wrote that line? So the guy's eyes start to fry. Artie had to be an asshole, goes back into the kitchen, and he's cooking. He's got the spoon going around like this, and the gangster comes in, because he just said this in front of his wife. It's try a Martina. It's like a martini, but it goes down more quickly or more smoothly or something like that. More easily, goes down more easily. What a line. Those great writers. David Chase is the greatest director ever, TV director. So Artie's in there with the hand in the hot sauce, the tomato sauce like this. And this kid comes in, grabs his hand and pushes it into the boiling hot sauce. And Artie is screaming on the floor. Okay. Now, the last scene of that show is late night. I'm getting back to the book. It's late at night. The restaurant, it's raining outside, and a couple comes in, and they want to eat. And his wife says, "Artie, they want to sit down. The restaurant's like in bad shape." He said, "I don't want him. It's closed." Said, "Okay, let him come in." So this young couple comes in the rain, and he says, "Tell him I'll make what I want, because it's late at night. There's nothing really here anymore. It's like we're closed." And he goes and he gets a recipe book that they made up, a composition book that his father wrote the recipes in. It was so incredibly touching that, of course, they made it up. There was no Artie father. It's a character, but shows you what art is, how good it, when art is good. So he gets it out, and it's a recipe about how to make a rabbit stew. I don't like eating rabbits because I don't like the thought of killing a rabbit. They're innocent, vegetarians. They bother nobody. But Artie had killed a rabbit months before that was eating his arugula with seeds that came back from Italy. I remember the whole plot. And now he has one thing to make that night. He looks at his father's book, the composition book, and the music is touching on a rainy night. and it's the recipe for a rabbit stew. However, the Italians call rabbit. I forget already what it is, congoli or something like that. And no, that's something I don't know what the hell. And you know, you look at the handwriting. I'm reminded of that tonight as I am cooking of my little modified book. You think someone's going to cry over the recipe? The dad changed the recipe and wrote them with his little hands, and he's such a sweet guy, and I hope he's in heaven. I don't think so. Like my father said, I'm becoming more and more cynical as I get older. My father from Europe, who believed only in survival, when I once asked him when I was a kid about God, I said, Dad, what happens when you die? He said, what happens when you die? He said, you could throw me in a garbage can. He said, there's nothing. Now, imagine the cynicism of that to the young savage. Throw me, your father, you imagine him in a garbage can? I had to walk around visualizing my father in a garbage can after he was dead, crumpled up. Is it any wonder I am who I am and the way I am? Do you blame me for being who I am? Now that you know the rest of that background? So that's my recipe. And here are some notes on when I would go shopping. I had to have a shopping list. I wouldn't take the book. And I've modified it 100 times. Then I found a more recent recipe that's faster, Spanish paella, different. It works as well. The thing to remember about paella is I loved it when I first lived in Palma de Mallorca in 1966, before it was built up in Arenal de Mallorca. Those of you gone there now, it's such a hot spot. I can't imagine what it looks like with the high rise, like Miami. When I was in Mallorca in 65, 66, I don't remember when, you still had women in black, older Spanish women. They'd walk around the black robes in the villages, you know. And boy, I ate in a local restaurant there every night. It was like 25 pesetas, I don't know what, with a soup and a salad. It was wonderful. But I really got to love his Spanish food in that cold winter of my discontent in Mallorca. And that, my friends, is the end of this story. I doubt that I'll be back now. I talked myself out. Now, I will come back later after I cook. That's if I cook. I could wind up going out now for dinner after all of this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say goodbye, hit the like button because that does matter. And I didn't drink tonight, no cursing, nothing. I was a good boy. If you like what you heard, and you should, if you're still with me, you loved it, just hit the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends how great I am. Now I got to find the end. I do see it. I do. I see the X. Okay. Maybe I'll come back later when things are cooking and it's swirling. Okay. And no one will stick my hand into the sauce because I didn't insult anybody in front of his wife. Have a nice night. Okay. That's it. Okay. RFK Jr., remember what I said? See my earlier YouTube. He might give him a 1 to 3% boost, but he has a lot of brains for the health area and ending the war. Some of the other stuff I could do without is liberalism. You know who he's married to? He's married to the woman who played Larry David's wife, who's a crazed liberal. Remember her? She played the wife in the Larry David show for years. Psycho Hollywood liberal. Oh,